So why did I get into 3D? So I tried to get into 3D, right? In school they taught Maya, and I know I'm not supposed to like talk about good or bad things. I didn't click with Maya. I'll put it a good way. I didn't click with it. And I think it's an engineer's tool. I think it's very technical. I think it can do almost anything in the whole world. It's a huge toolbox. And the way that they taught it was full modeling, full lighting, full everything. And the way that they taught it was very, you do your job, and you let somebody else do the other job. And I was like, I never thought about it that way. I never wanted to just model something, or just like something, or I wanted to like fly logos around. And I looked at this program and couldn't click with it, and just to make a box took 4 clicks, you know, and I had to collapse everything down. And as you can tell, I'm kind of scatterbrained, you know. I don't want to collapse things. And when I saw, man, I don't even remember how I saw this thing, but when I saw the guy use it, and I was like, okay, nothing is collapsed, nothing is geometry, everything is actually always like, it was like non-destructive editing, which was always a part of my audio career, part of my video and my editing career. I never wanted to commit to a final thing. I always wanted to be able to jumble everything up at the end. And that's one of the things that drew me to After Effects, was I could bring in a Photoshop file, animate this whole thing, go back to the original Photoshop file and change it, and it would all get updated through the animation. Or I could animate some text in After Effects and go back and change the text in After Effects, and it would propagate through the whole system. And when I saw Cinema being used, it clicked with my mind, right? And I'm not saying this because like everybody should go try Cinema or whatever. I'm saying use the tool that clicks to the way your brain works. And for me, it feels like Cinema was made for designers. And I feel like some other programs I've tried are made for technicians. And it used to be that was the only way you could do it. What was that movie? It was like Hulk Hogan or something. So, it used to be, you had to be a technician to use this stuff. You needed to be a technician just because you needed to understand how the computers ran to like set all this stuff up. You needed to be a technician because the tools were so complicated. You needed to be a technician for the same reason you had to be a totally different person to be a photographer with film than you do to just be a photographer with digital, because you don't have to understand all the chemicals and all the other stuff, right? So I feel like Cinema is a tool where I saw it and I was like, that's built for a designer, right? Or there's at least layers on top of this to make it nice for a designer, right? I'm the little technical, but I made an After Effects roller coaster, but at a certain point, I just want to click the button that helps me get the job done and not learn a bunch of technical stuff if I don't have to, right? So, and as you can see, like with Barton's presentation, I like that magic trick stuff, and Cinema allowed me to do these magic tricks and integrate them with After Effects, which at the time I knew After Effects. There's one thing I knew, it was After Effects. I didn't know I wasn't a great designer, as you can see by my bright orange roller coaster. But I could really use After Effects. And as soon as I saw the integration, I was like, let's try this thing out. So I got into Cinema and started playing around with it. Never really made anything with it. I just kind of dicked around with it. And I play with a couple, and then all of a sudden MoGraph came out, and I'm like, whoa, cool, there's like the name of it's right in there, like that's what I do. So, which is brilliant. I don't know if that's you or the Germans, but thumbs up. Because I was like, well, that's cool, and then so it integrates, there's MoGraph tools, and the MoGraph tools reminded me of, and this is like, so here's my only physical demo here. The MoGraph tools reminded me of this, which is what I use all the time. And, not type my name, but I do that all the time. So, I do this all the time. You may have seen this in like a tutorial if you've ever seen my stuff, and let's see how this looks. I didn't even preview this, but okay, so that's like a really simple animation, right? And then you can pre-comp it, and you can move all this stuff into a pre-comp. And then you can duplicate the pre-comp, offset the pre-comp, and offset the pre-comp in time. And then hit render, and now you have kind of 2 offset animations. I'm going to need a little bit more seconds here. Composition settings. 2 seconds. 8 seconds maybe. Cool name. Okay, so that is the composition. We can open up the composition. We actually have to extend the composition. So excuse me. This is really set up here. Good. Good. Fantastic. Okay, so there you go. So now I have 2 copies of my name. And actually, and what's cool is they're separate, right? And you guys know this, but this is mind-blowing to me. Like I can actually, duplicate this, rotate it, and even scale it, and even tint it, right? I could even like come over here and do like a levels, and make it one of these will work. There we go. Change the color. So gray is not that most exciting thing, but I can actually come into the red channel, and I think dip this down. I want to do like I said, 10. I can know what to do. Why don't I just do that? Thank you, Paul. I should never do a demo without Paul. So I'll crank it. So we made it blue. I can make a copy. Thank you, Paul. I can make another copy, and we can make it green. But all of this, and I can offset it so this one comes up later. And this is amazing to me. I just thought this is the coolest stuff because now I can have all this animation all driven by one thing, and they're all popping up at different times, right? And so if I go back into the composition and we change this, and we'll change it to Paul because thank you, seriously. We can come out and it's all swapped out. And this changed the way I like animated. This changed the whole way I thought about building machines. Like I talked about, like whenever the reason I liked playing with like slot cars and Hot Wheels and all that stuff was to build a machine and then let the machine do its thing and run it just by like pushing one marble. Marble Works? Anybody have Marble Works? Yes. God, that was the coolest thing, right? Oh. So, where am I going with this? So this was the way I animated. This is the way I thought about everything. And when I saw a lot of the ways 3D software was running and the way that the training was for it, it wasn't like this. It was very, very linear, and it was very you do this, then you do this, then you do this, and if you want to change what you did at the first thing, you're screwed. You got to go back. You got to restart. You got to go talk to the modeler and have him update it, right? When I saw Cinema, and specifically when I saw MoGraph tools, this is how my brain connected, because I'm so entrenched in After Effects, years and years and years of After Effects. I literally, when I opened up Cinema, I had to talk to other people that knew Cinema through After Effects. I say, how can you pre-comp stuff in Cinema? And they go, okay, well that question doesn't make sense. But I go, I want to animate something, but then I want to replicate it 100 times, and then I want it to all reference. So okay, maybe you're talking about instances, or maybe you're talking about the ability to come into MoGraph and grab a cloner and clone that thing, 3 times, and now I have 3 copies of the same cube, right? And instead of a linear, I could have a radial thing, and I can open this up, and now I can actually animate each of these separately using all the MoGraph effectors. I could scale them. I could use a random effector. I could come in and say, I want to randomize these boxes and know not just their position, but also their scale. I want to randomize them. Then I could actually come in and do the rotation as well. I could come over and rotate and randomly rotate. And then again, just like the other in After Effects, if I decide the cube isn't the way to go, this is all separate. I could bring in this platonic thing. Is that really the name of it? So, and now I have like this series of random crazy things in here. And then what's really cool, it took me years to figure this out. I could bring in another thing, and then it randomizes between those two. That's so cool. So, and the best part was it worked with text, right? I could pull in a text object, and the text, you know, it can say Nick, and then later down the road, I can come in and say, no, the client's like, you know, I don't, you know, P&G bought us, so now we're called like Dove Plus or something. And I could change. We could be like, no problem, man. No problem. We got this. And you know, and I could go on about all this stuff.
Actually, one of the really cool things too is
one
of the really cool things too is if you notice in cinema, wherever there's a little circle there, that's it, you can animate it.
Oh, right.
So all those things, all the aspects he's changing as you're going along are completely animatable and changeable on the fly.
Thank you. And you mean we could do this for days, and we can. One of my favorite things to do is to just grab something and try to make a mouth out of it, go like whoa. And of course, like that's animatable. Everything's animatable. The cloner, the effectors, and then of course, if you want to animate stuff, there's even stuff in here like, you know, the formula effector where you can actually instantly kind of animate stuff. And this is all driven without keyframes. So now you start to pull in the ability to not keyframe stuff and do things on the fly. Because a keyframe is another thing that is, I love keyframes. But a keyframe is another thing that it like kind of draws a line in the sand. And if you can actually animate things with effectors, then you're really, really open to swapping and changing things. And it also is really nice because you get to experiment and try some different stuff. So I'm doing this big, like, whole random thing mainly because I'm insane, but mainly because I want you guys to figure out what speaks to you. I want you to figure out what software, technique, design speaks to you. I get a lot of questions about how to get into this industry, how to do motion graphics, how to get paid, how to be this thing. And I think that a lot of people are wondering what that one thing is or what the steps are to be there. And I think that if you follow a step, you're screwed because there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of design, there's a lot of all this stuff that's that is technical and that can be complicated, that can be frustrating. But if you follow if you follow what's in your head and you realize how your brain works and attach yourself, hook onto those horses or wagons or whatever the term is, and follow that down, you're going to realize there's 100 different ways to get into this, right? There's traditional, we worked with traditional people that can actually draw. I can't draw. This is, so my wrist doesn't hurt. So, we work with traditional animators. I've worked with, that came from like cell by cell by cell, frame